All right, so this time you've really given us a mystery to dive into.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Mary Celeste,
Yeah.
and it is one of maritime history's most baffling tales.
Really is.
And to guide us on this deep dive, we've got a YouTube video in Malayalam
Okay.
you sent in that walks us through the story and the theories behind the ship's eerie abandonment.
Okay.
So buckle up, everybody. Get ready for a journey through ghost ships and missing crews,
Absolutely.
and a puzzle that has endured for over a century.
It really is a story that captures the imagination, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
When you think about a perfectly seaworthy ship just drifting with nobody on board,
Yeah.
it just makes you wonder what we really know about the sea.
Yeah, it's like the ocean just swallowed up the entire crew and left no trace.
Right.
So let's set the stage.
Okay.
It's November 7th, 1872.
All right.
The Mary Celeste set sail from New York, headed for Genoa, Italy. On board, we have Captain Benjamin Spooner Briggs, his wife, their young daughter, and a 7-man crew.
Okay.
They're carrying 1,700 barrels of industrial alcohol.
Okay.
Now, this is not the kind you'd find in a cocktail,
Right.
but valuable nonetheless.
And you know that cargo is actually a key detail
Okay.
because it really plays into some of the theories that we're going to be exploring.
Okay.
But before we get into that, I think it's important to understand that the Mary Celeste was no stranger to misfortune.
Oh, really?
Before this fateful voyage, the ship was actually known as the Amazon, and it had a history of accidents, even the death of a previous captain.
Oh, wow.
Some sailors were already whispering about a curse.
Whoa, hold on a second. A cursed ship? Now
Yeah.
that is setting the scene for a good mystery.
Right.
So the ship with the spooky past sets off on a seemingly routine voyage.
Yeah.
They've got 6 months worth of supplies, a seasoned captain, and everything seems to be going smoothly. But then, a month later, on December 5th, the British ship De Gracia stumbles upon the Mary Celeste,
Right.
drifting aimlessly near the Azores.
And get this, the De Gracia's captain, a man named David Morehouse,
Okay.
was actually friends with Captain Briggs.
No kidding.
They had dined together before setting sail from New York.
Wow.
So when Morehouse sees the Mary Celeste adrift,
Yeah.
he knows something is seriously wrong.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff. What did they find when they boarded the Mary Celeste?
Well, the ship was completely deserted,
Oh, wow.
but there was no sign of a struggle.
Okay.
A few things were out of place, though, like a broken compass and a stopped clock.
Interesting.
And there was some water in the hold, but not nearly enough to sink the ship. But the most unsettling detail of all,
Yeah.
the lifeboat was missing.
So they just vanished. No crew, no lifeboat, no explanation.
Yeah.
Chills, man, chills.
Yeah, it's spooky.
This is where my mind starts racing with possibilities.
Yeah.
Did they run into pirates? Was there a mutiny, or did something far stranger happen?
You're hitting all the classic theories.
Yeah.
And we'll unpack each of those.
Okay.
But let's add one more detail to this puzzle.
Okay.
They also found that a sextant was missing. Now, this is a crucial navigational tool for a ship at sea.
Right.
Why would they leave that behind?
Yeah.
And to make things even weirder, the last entry in the ship's logbook was from 10 days earlier,
Okay.
on November 24th, mentioning that they had encountered a storm.
Okay, so I'm officially hooked now.
Yeah.
This isn't just a ghost ship story. This is a full-blown detective case.
I know, right?
We've got a seemingly abandoned ship, a missing lifeboat, a stopped clock,
Yep.
a broken compass, a missing sextant,
Huh?
and a logbook that ends abruptly.
Right.
What do we do with all these clues?
Well, the authorities at the time had their work cut out for them.
Yeah.
Remember, this is 1872.
Right.
Long before modern forensics or instant communication.
Yeah.
They had to rely on what little evidence they could gather
Right.
and piece together the puzzle from there.
Yeah. So it's like trying to solve a mystery with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah.
So where do they start? What are the first theories that they explore?
Well, they started with the most obvious, foul play. Was this a case of premeditated murder and insurance fraud?
Oh, okay.
The theory was that Morehouse and Briggs had cooked up this whole scheme to fake an abandonment
Right.
and then claim the insurance money.
Okay, I can see how that would be a tempting theory, especially given that they were friends.
Right.
But wouldn't that be a huge risk, though? I mean, Briggs had his family on board.
Yeah.
Would he really put their lives in danger just for some kind of payout?
It's highly unlikely, and as the video points out, the theory falls apart pretty quickly when you Consider the lack of evidence.
Okay.
There's no sign of a struggle or any violence.
Right.
Plus, the investigators found the captain's valuable personal belongings just untouched. If this was a staged event, they wouldn't have left those behind.
So insurance fraud is off the table. What about mutiny? Could the crew have turned on the captain taking the lifeboat and maybe even some of the alcohol?
That's another theory they looked into. But again, the lack of any sign of a struggle casts doubt on this scenario.
Okay.
And if the crew did mutiny, why take only 9 barrels of alcohol and leave the rest?
Right.
Wouldn't they want to maximize their loot?
Yeah, that's a good point. Plus, wouldn't they have tried to disable the ship or sabotage it in some way if they were planning to escape?
Yeah.
I mean, the Mary Celeste was found in surprisingly good condition with its sails still set and plenty of provisions on board.
Right.
Doesn't really fit the profile of a ship that was taken over by a mutinous crew.
Exactly. And this is where the nature of the cargo becomes really important.
Okay.
We've said that it was industrial alcohol, not the kind you drink.
Right.
So while it was valuable, it wouldn't have held the same allure for a mutinous crew as, say, a chest full of gold coins.
Okay, so we've ruled out foul play. We've ruled out mutiny. What about a pirate attack?
Yeah.
Weren't pirates still a threat in the Atlantic during that time?
They were. And that was one of the early theories that really gripped the public imagination.
Yeah.
It's a classic maritime tale. A ghost ship appearing out of nowhere, fueling rumors of pirates and plundered treasure.
Right.
But the evidence doesn't quite add up in this case.
Pirates were known for being ruthless and opportunistic.
Right.
Wouldn't they have taken everything of value?
You'd think so, but as we've mentioned, the Mary Celeste's cargo was mostly intact.
Right.
Pirates would have likely plundered the entire shipment of alcohol.
Yeah.
Not just 9 barrels.
Okay.
And there's that missing sextant again.
Yeah.
Why would pirates leave behind such a valuable navigational tool?
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't make much sense.
No.
All right, so we've debunked 3 of the most common theories.
Yeah.
Insurance fraud, mutiny, and a pirate attack.
Right.
But the Mary Celeste was clearly abandoned.
Right.
What could have driven the crew to leave a perfectly good ship behind?
Well,
The video mentions the possibility of water damage and a panicked escape. Tell me more about that.
sure. So this theory hinges on the fact that the Mary Celeste's water pump was malfunctioning.
Okay.
Now, this could have led to some flooding in the hold,
Yeah.
especially after they encountered a storm.
Okay, I can see where this is going. If Captain Briggs believed that the ship was taking on water and might sink, he might have ordered everyone into the lifeboat as a precaution.
Exactly. And it would explain the seemingly hasty departure,
Okay.
why some personal belongings were left behind,
Yeah.
and why they didn't bother with securing the cargo.
Right.
They might have even tried to tow the lifeboat behind the Mary Celeste for a while, intending to return once the perceived danger had passed.
But then what happened? Why didn't they make it back to the ship?
Well, that's where the theories diverge.
Okay.
Some suggest that they encountered another squall or some rough seas,
Right.
and the lifeboat was separated from the Mary Celeste lost at sea.
Okay.
Others propose that they might have made it to a nearby island, but then perished from exposure or lack of supplies.
It's tragic to think about, but those scenarios would explain why the lifeboat and the people in it were never found.
Right.
But what about those 9 barrels of missing alcohol?
Yeah.
Does that fit into this theory?
It's possible that the barrels were damaged during the storm,
Okay.
or that some of the alcohol was consumed by the crew.
Right.
Remember they thought they were facing a life or death situation?
Right.
A little liquid courage might have seemed like a good idea at the time.
That's a grim thought, but I suppose it's possible. So this water damage theory seems to hold more weight than the previous ones.
Yeah.
But it still leaves me with a nagging question. If they truly believed the ship was sinking, why didn't they try to make repairs? I mean, wouldn't an experienced captain like Briggs have exhausted all options before abandoning ship, especially with his family on board?
That's a good point, and it's one of the reasons why this theory, while plausible, isn't entirely satisfying. It hinges on the assumption that Captain Briggs made a series of errors in judgment, that he misinterpreted the situation and overreacted to the flooding.
Okay.
That doesn't quite line up with his reputation as a skilled and cautious seaman.
So are we back to square one then? Is there any theory that can account for all the strange details of this case?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
And honestly, there might not be a single neat explanation.
Okay.
Sometimes the most baffling mysteries are the result of a confluence of factors,
Right?
a perfect storm of events, both natural and human, that defy easy categorization.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. All Are you suggesting that maybe we're trying too hard to fit the Mary Celeste mystery into a box?
Yeah,
When in reality, it might be something far more complex and nuanced.
exactly.
Yeah.
We humans crave certainty. We
Yeah.
want to be able to explain the world around us in a logical and orderly way.
Right.
But the sea, with all its vastness and unpredictable nature, often reminds us that there are limits to our understanding.
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the sea. We talked earlier about the Mary Celeste history of misfortune, the accidents and the whispers of a curse.
Yeah.
And you mentioned how sailors throughout history have told tales of ghost ships and supernatural occurrences. Is it possible that there's something more to this story than just faulty pumps and human error?
Now, I'm not saying I believe in sea monsters or cursed ships,
Okay.
but I do think there's something to be said for the power of stories
Yeah.
and the enduring fascination with the unexplained.
The Mary Celeste, with its eerie disappearance and lack of answers, taps into that primal fear of the unknown
Right?
that's been with us since the dawn of time.
It's like it becomes a blank canvas onto
Mm.
which we project our own anxieties and interpretations, each generation finding new meaning in the mystery.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the Mary Celeste such a compelling and enduring story. You know, it's not just about solving a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's about grappling with the limits of our knowledge and confronting the vastness of the unknown.
It's like looking out at the ocean and realizing that beneath its surface lies a world of secrets and mysteries.
That we may never fully comprehend.
Right.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe there's certain beauty in accepting that some things will always remain beyond our grasp.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. The pursuit of knowledge is a noble endeavor,
Sure.
but sometimes the most profound lessons come from acknowledging the things we don't know.
So even though we may never know for certain what happened to the Mary Celeste and her crew, the story itself continues to spark our imaginations
Yeah.
and remind us of the enduring power of mystery.
And who knows? Maybe someday new evidence will surface, shedding light on this enigma that has captivated us for over a century. But even if the puzzle remains unsolved, the Mary Celeste will continue to sail through the annals of history, a haunting reminder of the sea's enduring power to both fascinate and terrify.
Well said. It seems like the only thing we can say for sure about the Mary Celeste is that its story is far from over. It continues to intrigue, inspire, and challenge us to think beyond the boundaries of what we think we know. So as you go about your day, let the Mary Celeste linger in your mind. Let it remind you that the world is still full of wonder and that some mysteries are meant to be savored, not solved. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.